Okay, hello, it's Paul Green here from the business community, doing another one of our regular Spotlight on interviews. And today I'm joined by Kirti Patel. Hi, Kirti.
Hi, thank you very much for inviting me.
No worries, thanks for coming along. So what we're going to do with these sessions is really just find out a little bit more about you, your business, how you got to where you are, and who knows where we might go with the questions. So it shouldn't be too much of an ordeal for you. It's just an opportunity for us to learn about you and pick up some top tips from you as well. So the first question really is, how did you end up being in the business that you're in today? What was your business journey to get to being a business owner at Career Inspiration? Oh, actually, first, why don't you introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you do?
Okay, so hi, I'm Kirti Patel, and my business is Career Inspiration. What I do is I help individuals and businesses with career coaching and outplacement support.
Okay, excellent. Now I can go to my main question and ask you how you became to be the owner of Career Inspiration. What was your business journey?
So I've actually had quite an interesting journey with a few twists and turns. So I started off as a recruiter myself, worked with a number of organizations to recruit and select high quality candidates for accountancy and education institutions. Really enjoyed that role. But felt that for that ethical reasons, it was possibly best for me to move on. The next role that I went into was teaching. And I thought that this was actually a really good role for me because I really wanted to be in a helping profession. And I thought teaching is essentially almost the start of someone's career as well. So to be able to inspire, encourage, motivate young people from the initial stages, so that they're able to sort of set themselves on the right career path, really sort of inspired me to actually go on with teaching. I actually am a qualified teacher, and did actually do my PGCE in further education, which was a great experience. Stressful, but really good. Moved on forward from that. Did a couple of teaching roles. First was great. It was very much about supporting the teachers. A lot less focus on the bureaucracy side of things, and you were able to focus more on the delivery of teaching. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the second role was quite the opposite. I found that it was an unsupportive work environment, where I actually felt that there was actually a lot more focus on the bureaucracy side of things as well. So I was actually working in excess of 100 hours a week. Wow. Yeah, I wasn't seeing family or friends, and I was actually thinking, is this really what I want to do with the rest of my life? So I decided to come out teaching, and following on from that, I thought I'd explore accountancy, because this was something that I did as part of my graduation. So I thought it kind of makes sense for me to explore that as an option, because I at least had a theoretical background with that. So use my personal and professional network to secure an entry role within an accountancy firm, and really enjoyed that role. Very quickly got promoted because I was able to demonstrate competency, and also I'm the kind of person that doesn't really sit there and sort of treat a job as a 9-to-5 job. Mm-hmm. I'm always the kind of person who will see what can be made more effective or more efficient. And the recommendations that I'd actually presented to my senior leaders, they really enjoyed, and they really liked, and it actually did have positive impacts on the accountancy firm. So I was able to really get an understanding as a result of the promotion of how to interact with suppliers, how to interact with clients, and to understand their challenges, and to understand what the sort of industry specific challenges are as well. So that was really, really interesting. Unfortunately, there was a point sort of about a year into the promoted role that I had a family member who fell very ill. And this was where I needed to sort of step back from my job role so that I was able to become a full-time carer. For me, work is important, but family is one of those things which I would prioritize. I'm sure a lot of people would. So this was an opportunity for me to have a look at my career as a whole, and to think about what it is that would best fit not only myself personally, but also my my commitments in terms of my family as well. And I felt that career coaching or careers advising was actually a really, really good option, because it kind of gave me the flexibility to be able to advise clients, but be able to take a step back should I need to as well. So what I wanted to do was make sure that I was advising at the highest level. So I had actually done a postgraduate diploma and a professional qualification within career guidance. I'm actually a professionally registered member of the CDI.
Okay.
And this gave me a really good opportunity to understand the different coaching techniques to really get the most out of my clients, and to ensure that the coaching that I was delivering was person-centered, and it was really going to be within the best interest of my client, and it was going to be ethical. So as a CDI member, we do need to actually coach in alignment with an ethical code of practice. So it's really, really important for me to remain sort of impartial and ethical in terms of my coaching as well. Following on from that qualification, I then decided to get a breadth of experience, because it was at that point that I wanted to start a business, but I wanted to be able to demonstrate that credibility initially before I started one. So I actually worked in a sixth form college, a university, and a training provider over a period of 3 years. And this gave me an opportunity to careers advise across the sort of different age ranges, as well as professionals within sort of either as a junior employee or sort of senior directors or CEOs. And within those professions, I was able to actually demonstrate results for the people that I was advising. So I thought actually it makes sense for me to actually do this on my own and be able to then deliver results for my clients. The other reason why I decided to set up on my own was because I didn't want to be in an organization where the number of appointments were restricted. So I think for some people, it's fine just to have sort of 1 or 2 appointments if they have a clear idea of what they want to do. But for others, they actually need a little bit more time, a little bit more support, a little bit more hand-holding, and that needs a little bit more time. Secondly, as I mentioned to you before, with regards to the recruiting role, there were some ethical reasons as to why I left. That was the other reason why I decided to set up on my own, because I felt that actually it makes sense for me to actually run my business in alignment with my own personal values and within my own sort of code of ethics. So I wasn't sort of treating people like a target. For me, each person that I'm advising is really, really important. It's not just, people aren't just a statistic or a target for me. This, at the end of the day, it's someone's career, someone's life that you're coaching them on, and they're sort of entrusting you with that. So I think it's really important that, I was coaching in alignment with my own values and within my own sort of code of ethics, so to speak.
Excellent. Well, it certainly gives you more control if it's your own
It
business.
does.
You're sort of like driving how you want to. You're not sort of swayed by anybody else's dodgy values, if that's what it was like. So are there any particular sectors that you like working with, or do you have like a sort of target audience as such?
I do. So because I actually recruited for and worked within education and accountancy, my target audience is within those areas of specialism, because I feel that I have a good understanding from a hirer and a candidate perspective as to what they need and what their specific challenges are. And for that, in terms of that sort of understanding, I can really sort of help to match those well.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. So there's sometimes some confusion between a career coach versus a recruiter. So what would you say the difference is to distinguish those two roles?
Okay, so with a recruiter, so they will usually have a database of roles, which they will then match candidates to. Secondly, they will also help you with the practical side of things in terms of job searching for you. They may actually help you with CV support or with interview coaching. Now, the difference between a recruiter and a career coach is a career coach wouldn't have a database of vacancies for you to match to. A career coach essentially will work with you to actually find out what the right role is for you. And only at that point will they actually work with recruiters, or that they will actually look at job boards or specific websites to make sure that the right role for you is actually the role that you're going to essentially be asked to sort of like apply for. So it's almost the opposite. And secondly, the other reason, the other difference is that a career coach will help you with career direction, will help you with ensuring that your decisions are realistic. Whereas a recruiter may not necessarily have that coaching or training expertise to actually enable you to enable that to happen.
Okay, because I guess in your role you must have come across people that, with you working with them, find out they're actually in the wrong career.
Yes.
And that must be quite sometimes a shock to them, or maybe a breath of fresh air, that they realise they've been pushing water uphill for a number of years before they realise that their vocation lies elsewhere. So no, I can certainly get the difference. So on these calls, I ask people what their why is, what actually drives you, what gets you out of bed in the morning, what gets you to fight the good fight, as it were, as a small business owner. So what would you say is your why? What's your driving force, Kirti?
So my why is to basically make sure that every single one of my clients is in a role which is right for them, and they're actually in a work environment which is right for them as well. So for me, as I mentioned to you, that there were several reasons as to why I actually left each of the roles that I did, and for some of those roles, it was just simply that the role wasn't right for me. But for other roles, it was actually the work environment. And I think sometimes people just feel that they have to be in a work environment because they've been in that company for a number of years, or that they've been in a role for a certain number of years. and they just kind of feel like, oh, actually, I'm in a role. I've got, I've got the right skill set. I've got the right experience. Why is there a need for me to move? But actually, is that company allowing you to grow? Is that company actually really allowing you to fulfill your potential? Is that a role that you really want to actually get up in the morning for? On these like cold, dreary days, would that be something that you really want to go to? At the end of the day, on average, I think people spend about 90,000 hours in work. Do you really want to be spending your time in the wrong role and in the wrong company?
So previous generations, I guess, and partly mine to an extent, is like, you get your career after education, whatever it might be, and then it's like a job for life. You do your 30, 40 years, whatever it is, get your gold watch, to use the well-worn analogy. I guess that's not the case now, is it, with younger people? That they don't have that viewpoint, do they, of looking to be in one place for 30, 40, 50 years? Are they a little bit more dynamic in the way they sort of approach their career nowadays, would you say?
I think they are, yes. I think you'll find that they tend to be quite confident, actually, and it's quite nice to see, because that they seem to have a greater focus on fulfillment as opposed to just money. So if you find that, so that there is a trend at the moment where the main reasons for why people sort of transition or move into another role, and one of the key reasons is actually to be able to be happy in a role or to be fulfilled in a role. I think initially, in the sort of in some of the yester generations, perhaps income and money was more of a priority for people, especially if they came from more disadvantaged backgrounds. And they kind of felt that actually they needed to be in a role and be able to make money, pay the bills, and of course that still exists today. But I'm hoping that there are more people who are in a better position financially, because their parents or their grandparents have worked their lives to be able to enable them to be in a better position, so they do actually have a choice now to actually have the role that they actually want to be in. I think that would be what I would probably say with regards to that.
And at the time recording this, we're hopefully just coming out of the third lockdown or whatever lockdown we're in. I'm losing track. And I guess the number of people who have been furloughed or have been furloughed are coming out that they might be made redundant. There have been some redundancies, as we know. What has that meant? Like, has that been an opportunity for you as more people are looking to change career? And also inside of that, do you get a point when you're working with people where in the work you do with them, that part of their career path is maybe they think about setting up a new business, their own business?
So I think in terms of redundancy, I probably wouldn't say that as an opportunity, because that doesn't sound quite right, given that it's quite...
Probably the wrong one by me, but yeah.
That doesn't quite fit that. But I think for me, it's been nice to be in a position to be able to help and support those who have been in such a sort of sad, quite disheartening situation. Because first and foremost, I like to look after people's mindset, to be able to make sure that they're in the best possible position mentally and emotionally to then be able to job search. So I think it's been useful to do that and to be able to help and support, and to be able to then use my career coaching expertise and my recruitment background to be able to then position themselves help to position them in sort of standing out amongst the increased competition that we've had over the last sort of year. I think for some roles that they've had competition where it's been one role and there's been almost hundreds or thousands of applications for that one role.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So actually, to be able to work with a career coach who's been able to help her clients to actually stand out and to actually get those interviews and those job offers, that's been nice to be able to do and to be able to help, because I have been able to help and support a number of my clients. In fact, I think 98% of my clients that I've worked with are actually in a role and they're really enjoying. So in terms of the other side of your question, so in terms of the redundancy being an opportunity for being self-employed, that appears to be almost a natural choice for some redundant employees, just because of the increased competition as well. So that they feel that actually, if I can actually do what I do, but control how I do it, and actually have that kind of flexibility of how I do it, then that's obviously something that's worth considering. Of course, there's other things that you need to think about in terms of, first of all, whether it's just a hobby or a passion, or whether it's something that you can actually do as a business. You've also got to look at, your other family commitments or other lifestyle commitments, and to see whether that's something that would actually align with starting up your own business. So there's a number of questions which a career coach like myself would need to be asking those employees, just to ensure that the choice that they're making is still going to be right for them.
Yeah, I've certainly come across a number of people in recent months that have either been furloughed or been made redundant, that have had time to reflect and look at, do they want to go back into the same industry? Do they want to change industries? Do they want to look at starting their own business? From a little bit of what you said, because it gives them that freedom and flexibility. Then they can run their own lives a little bit more. But obviously you've got to look at the needs, as it were. So we've probably touched on this a little bit, but what would you say makes you different from your competitors? Because I guess there's a number of career coaches out there. I don't know how competitive environment is, to be honest, but I'm assuming you do have people that do things similar to you. So what would you say distinguishes you from the competitors out there?
So I think in terms of what my clients have said about me, is that I'm very personable, I'm very empathetic, and that's how I come across in my communication. And I think that's really important in a career coaching profession, because you need to be able to be empathetic and be personable to be able to then build a positive working relationship with your clients. At the end of the day, especially when you're looking at things like redundancy or career change, which could be quite a difficult decision for people, you need to be able to have someone who you can actually talk to, and who's going to be easy to talk to as well. And I think that's one of the things that clients say about me. The other thing that makes me different is that I've been told I'm a good listener. So I will make sure that I use my listening and coaching techniques, which I've actually learned within my sort of professional qualification, to really understand the client situation, and to then sort of ask insightful questions and follow-up questions to be able to then help them refine their thinking, and to help them with clarifying, the brain fuzz that they come to me with. And they've really the career coaching conversations that I have with clients, so someone's basically told me that I've gone from floundering to focused. And other clients have said that, you know, I didn't realize that actually I have a choice, or I can actually, I can do something. And it's really those sort of illuminating aha moments, which they get at the end of my coaching conversations, which make me feel that actually I'm good at what I do. Clients are saying that as well. I think the other thing that makes me different is the fact that I'm not just a career coach. I actually have that recruitment background, and I have that industry background as well. So I tend to, I don't really just come with the coaching techniques or training. I actually have an understanding of what recruiters are looking for, and I also know how recruiters work as well. So I know how to advise my clients in terms of how to approach recruiters and how to present themselves in the best possible way to recruiters or hirers. And I also understand from a candidate perspective as well, in terms of the things that they're going through and in terms of the challenges that they're facing. So I can actually help them through navigating some of the industry specific challenges as well, in terms of whether they're entering the profession or whether they're leaving the profession. I can also help them with things like transferable skills and experience, because I've actually been in that role myself.
Makes sense. Excellent. So as I touched on earlier, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. Hopefully with some light at the end of the tunnel. And I guess that's been the biggest challenge for most businesses in the last year or so. Outside of that, Kirti, on your sort of small business owner journey, what would you say has been the biggest challenge that you've faced as a business?
I think for me, it's about sort of raising my brand profile and to be able to demonstrate that credibility to my business network and to others around me. I think it's easier to demonstrate credibility when other business owners are able to experience your services. But I think for me, when I'm actually going into a business network, is of course I'm not really talking to the business owners in the room, so to speak, in terms of the services that I help. It's more demonstrating that I can help, and therefore I can then help their contacts who might need my services. So it's been an interesting journey. But one of the things which I will always be thankful for is actually the business community. The members that I've actually been able to, you know, talk to and get that experience from, and to be able to sort of just pick up the phone and say, you know, I've actually got this challenge, and for them to then just sort of say that, you know, you can do X, Y, or Z. That's just been invaluable. We've got so much expertise within the business community that they've really helped me to get my business to where it is now. And that's without question. So.
Okay, the check's in the post, Kirti. Thanks for that. Okay, so you kindly said that you'd share some of your experience with us, just sort of like do a bit of a solo. So if I put you into solo mode, and the floor is yours, Kirti, if you just want to, let's see if I can there you go.
Okay. So I was just thinking that it might be useful to give you some tips on how to do a career change, and also some tips on redundancy. So I'm going to start off with the career change. I would say first and foremost is to really have a good understanding of what it is that you're looking for in a role, and to really understand why you're actually looking for those different aspects. I would also look at doing an audit, so almost like a SWOT, of what your key strengths are, what your areas for development are, what the opportunities are with regards to the role that you're thinking about. So what is the labour market like for that particular role? What industries are actually recruiting for that particular role? What companies would you like to be working for? And then also look at almost the threats or the barriers. So what might actually stop you from actually being able to be recruited for that role? So are there certain skills that you need? Are there industry-specific challenges? Are there any other barriers within your own personal life? So do you have childcare commitments? Do you have other family commitments, or other sort of educational commitments? So it's worth just actually doing that audit, just to really give you a good starting point. Then I would look at the specific role that you want to be recruited for, and really just write down all of the different skills and experience that you have with regards to that role. And when you're doing this, think about the achievements that you've actually gained from your previous roles. And you want to be really, really selective here. You want to be looking at the strongest examples, which are going to then sort of present yourself in the best possible position to be recruited for that particular role. I would also talk to people within within the sort of companies that you want to be recruited in, or also people who have actually worked in the industry that you want to be recruited in. So these conversations are what are called informational interviews. And informational interviews are essentially to give you an understanding of what it is, what the role is actually like in a day-to-day. So job adverts and job descriptions will only give you a certain amount of information about a specific role. Actually talking to someone who's actually doing those roles, doing that role day in, day out, will really give you an understanding of what the role is actually like, and to actually give you a balanced view as well. So it might be that there might be certain things which you might really enjoy, but other things which you might not. And it's worth actually having those conversations with people, so that the decision that you're making is an informed choice. Those would be certain tips that would be helpful for career change. In terms of redundancy, as far as your CV is concerned, if your role has been made redundant following a restructure or because of the COVID-19 pandemic, then make sure you put that down. So you don't need to really go into detail in terms of why you've been made redundant. But if it is just due to the COVID-19 pandemic and or the company's gone through a restructure, then just say that. That will really give employers and hirers an opportunity to really understand what your reasons for what the reason for your redundancy was. Secondly, is to really get your mindset right. So when people have been made redundant, you may experience feelings of anger, of frustration, especially if you've been in a role for such a long time. and you know it's been your sort of day in day out, and then you've just been sort of asked to be made redundant, please try not to take it personally. There are a number of people who are actually in your position at the moment, and it's actually the role that's been made redundant. You haven't. Certain things that you might be able to do to take care of your mindset are to actually just take a step back, and to think about what it is that you need to take care of your mental health. So it could be, you know, reconnecting with family or friends. It could be, you know, going out for walks. You do need to get your mindset right before your job search, because you don't want to be presenting yourself in a negative light to recruiters or employers, whether it's verbally in a telephone conversation, or whether it's in a written format in your covering letter or your CV. So one of the things which I've actually seen, which is quite consistent within CVs and covering letters following redundancy, is the tone of voice is quite negative, and it's very, very easy to sort of go into that kind of mode when you're feeling upset yourself. But you need to remember that these documents are essentially your gateway into this new role, and you want to be presenting yourself in a positive light and using a positive tone of voice, so that employers can really see how amazing you are. Those would be the two key tips for redundancy as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Kirti. Some great advice there. I mean, I think the mindset thing, I think, is important for everybody right now, you know, given the situation that we've all been in. You know, it's been difficult for most, I think, you know, having to go through something that most of us have never experienced in our lives. So yeah, mindset, I know for me, sometimes you know, I've lost my mojo on the way. But you know, it's just sort of finding about having people around you that can support you with that. So one final question, then your ordeal will be over. Given your experience, and if you were to give sort of one top tip to any small business out there, what would that top tip be from your experience?
So my top tip is to really just network as much as possible. So I think for me, if I didn't actually know the people that I did, and the business experts, the business experts that I did, my business wouldn't be where it is right now. So I've been able to adapt and navigate through the pandemic because I've actually had a supportive network around me. I've actually had people to soundboard. I've actually had people to you know, support me through some of my down days, and every business owner has those. You know, you said that, you know, you've lost your mojo, and you know, I know that you've had a number of people who've got you through your sort of those lack of mojo days.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think actually that's what I would advise, is to just really get yourself out there, and really just talk to as many people, and actually just be you as well. So I think a lot of people feel that they actually need to present themselves in a certain way, whereas, and actually, if you try and present a fake version of you, people will see through you. And actually, you're not going to actually be able to build those trusting relationships which a business owner actually needs to be able to sort of, you know, progress and develop as a business. So I think those would be my two main tips.
Excellent. I mean, certainly is now a great time to network. It's online, it's easy access, it's low to no cost. So certainly if people, you know, might be a little bit apprehensive about walking into a room full of people, now you're just walking into a screen full of people. But you know, it's a great way of you know, meeting potential referral partners, meeting people that can help you on your business journey and stuff like that. So no, superb. Well, that's it, Kirti. Thanks for your time today. I appreciate you coming along and giving up your time. So we'll end the broadcast there. Thanks again.
Thank you very much.